Hello dear friends of the happy rolling, hello dear friends of the sun. My name is Daniel and the trick I just did is called snake. The snake is one of the basics for freestyle slalom skating, and the snake is not only a very fun trick, but it's also a good trick to improve our balance for this position here, for this stance. And this is why we learn the snake, and therefore we go to the bridge you can see behind. So let's go and let's start to learn the trick together. As usual, we start with the body and basic posture for the snake. This is very similar to the general basic posture for inline skating. This time, however, we don't keep our feet or inline skates offset next to each other, but in a line in front of each other. But let's start from the beginning. We start by standing on a flat surface as possible. If possible, we somewhere can hold on to, such as a wall or railing. Now we go into our usual scissor posture, bend our knees and lean our shoulders slightly forward. By bending our knees, I mean that we push our knees forward so that they are right above our front wheels. To stand deeper in the knees, we push them even further forward. We make sure that our hips remain above our heels. At this point, remember, we never stretch our buttocks backwards. Our back also remains relatively straight. We only lean our shoulders forward so far that our arms are approximately next to our front, so that our arms dangle roughly next to our front knee. Unlike the usual skating position, we don't keep our feet next to each other, but place them directly in front of each other. Therefore, we take that skate to front, which feels better to us. Standing in this position, we practice pushing the back knee against the front leg or into the back of the knee. This gives us a stable and secure stance, as well as an optimal transfer of movement for other movement sequences. And finally, we practice standing in the snake position without holding on to anything. Now that we have acquired the basic posture, it's time to put it into practice while skating. To do this, remember to stand with your knees low and press your thighs together. We will usually find that this is easier than standing in the snake position. However, the difficulty now is in maintaining speed without leaving the snake position. And this we can only do by starting to skate snake lines and thus our first slalom snake. Our feet have to turn left, then right, then left again, and so on. And we do this while maintaining the snake position as good as possible. We can do this by either standing with our knees low so that we are mobile enough to move and turn our legs and feet using our muscle power. Alternatively, we can also use our upper body and arms to gain so much momentum that our feet turn automatically. From our inline skating courses, we know that most beginners find it easier to perform the snake movement using their upper body. That's why we now concentrate first on the upper body, then on the legs, and finally we combine both to learn a perfect snake. To use our upper body for the snake, we stretch out our arms and use them to gain momentum. We swing our arms to the left and to the right. When we swing our arms to the left, we automatically turn our upper body to the left. This causes our feet turn as well. We then repeat the same with the right turn, then again with the left turn, and so on. To make our skates turn more easily, we can also take our weight slightly off the ball of our foot and shift it a little more back towards the heel. This puts less pressure on the front wheels and make the snake much easier. As soon as we have mastered this, we can do a few slide squats in the snake position. This will help us to perform our snake and other slalom movements more precisely and with more control, and will also help us to no longer need our arms later on. To practice our balance for the snake, we now take some chalk and draw a straight line on the floor. Then we take a running start and let ourselves roll over the line, keeping the snake position. While we are doing this, we can also do a few slight squats again. And at this point, it is important to distance ourselves from the theory, become one with the snake and get a feel for the movement. To do this, we draw snake line on the floor. How the snake line looks is up to us. It should simply help us to practice the movement for the snake. In my example, I have painted a fairly long snake line, which has very flat curves, but also very steep curves. This variance helps you to practice the snake in the best possible way. So it is not important to roll exactly on the lines. It is simply a matter of being able to follow the shape of the lines and curves. With the help of the chalk lines, we simply practice the snake until we have internalized the motion sequence and can therefore both slow down and speed up a little. As always, I also have a bit of theory and interesting facts for you. You may have noticed that I mostly have my left foot in front in this tutorial. This is because I find it easier to do the snake with my left foot in front. Others, on the other hand, find the snake easier with the right foot in front. However, if you have the foot in front with which it is also easier, then this trick is normally called the snake for you. However, if we have the foot in front with which the snake is more difficult for us, then we call it the switch snake. In my case, I skate the snake switch when I have my right foot in front. And this applies to every movement and every trick in skating. As soon as we do a trick in the direction or on the side that is more difficult for us, we simply add the word switch to the trick name. For example, if it's easy for us to do a 360 turn to the right, then we simply call it 360. If it's more difficult for us to turn to the left, then we call the 360 turn to the left switch 360. Now that we are able to follow our snake lines, it is time to set up our slalom cones. As always, we start with the 120 row, for which we use 14 cones. Therefore, in our videos we always use the green cones. It actually makes no difference whether we paint a snake line on the floor or not. However, from experience, strangely enough, it really is easier when we can follow a line. So the easiest way is to snake through the 120 row and thus through the row with the greatest distance. Here we can take a lot of time doing our snakes and thus concentrate on the basic sequence of movements. As soon as that works well and we can speed up a little with the snake movement, we will also practice the snake in the 80 row. For the 80 line, we always use 20 cones, for which we always use the color orange. If the cones are closer together, we have to react faster, so we don't have as much time to think anymore. Multiple snakes in a shorter distance also mean a faster speed up, which in turns mean we have to react faster and faster. And this can result in us only seeing a blurry line instead of individual cones. And this is exactly where the deep snake comes into play. By a deep snake, we mean a snake in which we skate a very large bow, up to 90 degrees. By a 90 degrees bow, I mean that we skate him so large that we sometimes even stand at right angles to the cones. The wider or deeper the snake, the less our speed up and the better we can slow down and control the speed of our snake. Now that we have practiced the deep snake and can do it through both the 120 and 80 lines, it is now time to practice the flat snake. To do this, we will start with the 120 line again. The flat snake is the opposite of the deep snake. With the flat snake, we try to make the smallest possible turns and thus skate forwards in a more targeted manner. With the flat snake, we not only cover a shorter distance, which makes us faster from the start, but we also speed up much faster and can therefore become faster and faster. And this makes the snake more challenging, which also requires a little more practice. If we get this in the 120 line, we repeat the whole thing again with the 80 line. By now we will realize that even a basic trick can be very challenging. The difficulty is not necessarily in the trick itself, but also in its execution and speed. Finally, we practice the snake without our chalk lines and directly from a standing position. Because we can only really do a trick in inline freestyle slalom skating if we can do it without taking a running start. That's why we practice every slalom trick from a standing position without taking a running start first. To start with the snake without a running start, we go into the snake position while standing. We then bend our knees and push off from the ground in one direction to gain momentum. Then we push off in the other direction and so on, and we have already reached a high speed again. Now we have learned everything we need to know about the snake. From here on, it's back to practicing, practicing and more practicing. Finally, I would like to mention that there is a third cone line in the official freestyle slalom rules. The third cone line consists of 20 cones, each 50 centimeters apart, for which we always use the blue cones. In our first basic slalom skating videos, we have not yet used the 50 cone line. However, we will use it in one of the following videos of the series, for example for the run foot trick. Either way, if you haven't seen our video on the correct positioning of the cones and the rules of the freestyle slalom, then take a look at the video description. I have linked the video there for you again. Alternatively, you can also find the video and other detailed descriptions directly on our website. In the rules video, I also show you how to set up the cones quickly and at the right distances every time. Now I wish you a lot of fun with the outtakes of the intro recordings, but above all, good luck and fun learning the snake. Feel free to leave me some feedback in the comments. I look forward to welcome you in the next video. Until then, have a good time and enjoy your time to the fullest. Yours, Daniel.
Hallo liebe Freunde des Rollens, hallo liebe Freunde der Sonne. Mein Name ist Daniel und wie ihr gerade eben gesehen habt, lernen wir in diesem Tutorial jetzt die Snake. Die Snake ist unser dritter Basic-Grundlagentrick fürs Freestyle-Slalom-Skating. Und um die Snake zu lernen, gehen wir jetzt gleich hier im Hintergrund auf die Brücke und machen das Ganze dort. Dann habt ihr ein bisschen eine schönere Kulisse. Und ja, wichtig ist die Snake einfach dafür, dass wir dann nochmal, jetzt rede ich wieder um den Brei rum, eine andere Körperhaltung, einen anderen Schritt lernen, der halt für viele weitere Tricks wichtig ist. Ja, nochmal. Ihr im Hintergrund seht auf die Brücke und ich habe mich wieder verhaspelt. Wird wieder ein schönes Outtake und nächster Take. Hier eine andere Körperhaltung beibringt, die extrem wichtig ist für weitere Tricks, verdammt. Basic trick for freestyle slalom skating, because the snake teaches us the perfect stance for other tricks. Teaches. Ich muss es anders anfangen, das ist leichter. With the snake we improve our balance for other tricks. I just did. It's called Snake. Snake is not only a funny trick, it also improves our balance for further tricks. Das ist eigentlich perfekt.